Welcome back for another video. The launch of FPL for 2022-23 is around the corner, and we've been spoiled with price reveals in advance. Historically, we've had a drip feed of one price per player every few hours, but this season they've been dropping 11 per team, so there's loads to talk about already. We'll be posting a new video every day until the game launches, so hit subscribe so you don't miss out. Last season I spent a couple of game weeks number one in the world, maybe one of you are next. Starting with Arsenal, and here's the team revealed. At the time of their price reveal, Gabriel Jesus hadn't been officially announced for Arsenal, so he was the notable absentee. Arsenal have a great run of fixtures to start the season, with Tierney and Partey expected back from injury, which will be a huge boost, and arguably led to their downfall in the latter part of last season. Ramsdale comes in at 5 mil, which is a very fair price considering the fixtures, but the biggest surprise is White and Tomiyasu, who are both 4.5 mil. Therefore, in terms of team structure, they make more sense over Ramsdale, unless you want to back the double up. White finished the season with 106 points and he missed 6 matches. Tomiyasu finished with 75 points and missed 14 matches. They're both expected to be first choice, Tomiyasu in particular very nailed. Arsenal loaned out the young French centre-back Saliba the last couple of seasons, who is a right-footed centre-back, competing with White in all likelihood. He was very good last season in Ligue 1 in the French league. In my opinion, White remains a starter as he also had a good season. There's not much to separate Tomiyasu and White, but it's one we can decide on the end of pre-season. One of them's already a lock-in for my Gameweek 1 team. Saka comes in at 8 mil, which is where we predicted him to be. Considering the fixtures, he's a good option for that price, but most interestingly is Martinelli and Smith Rowe, who come in 2 mil cheaper, which is significant. The trade-off is that they're both rotation risks and they shared a lot of minutes last season. It's definitely one to monitor over the next month, as Arsenal play 5 pre-season games before the end of July, including 2 tough oppositions at the very end against Chelsea and Sevilla, where Arteta may line up with his best 11. New signing Vieira comes in at 6 mil, which is another one to keep on the watch list. Last season in the Portuguese league he had 6 goals and 14 assists, played primarily centre attacking mid, so in all likelihood he's competition for Odegaard. Nketiah is 7 mil, but he's an easy avoid if Jesus signed for Arsenal. It'll be interesting to see how much he comes in at. 8 mil would be very tempting, but for any more, Saka might be more logical. Drop a comment below of your thoughts on the Arsenal price reveals. A big one up next, Man City. Cancelo will cost 7 mil, which is what we hadn't predicted at, and great news as 7.5 mil look possible. It's a lot to spend on a defender, but he should justify the price tag once again, and City were best in the league for expected goals conceded last season. That said, Diaz for 6 mil is a tempting price, as is Walker. A couple of seasons back, John Stones was also 5 mil, and he became a pretty regular starter and putting up good consistent points. Man City are being strongly linked with Cucurella though, which would heavily reduce Walker's appeal. De Bruyne comes in with a hefty 12 mil price tag. Last season no player had more than his 33 bonus points. He could be a ridiculous asset this season, now he has Haaland to be playing balls to. Sterling looks way too expensive for 10 mil, but with the imminent departure of Jesus, Morris actually looks quite good for 8 mil after a price cut. In fact, Sterling is also being rumoured on his way out, which would only add to his appeal. He's one of the most explosive players in the game, Morris, and the difficulty has always been choosing him at the right time when he's playing. Grealish also gets a price cut to 7 mil, and all in all an underwhelming season from an FPL perspective, but he could represent better value for only 7 mil. Haaland for 11.5 mil is 0.5 mil cheaper than I expected him to be, and the choice between him and De Bruyne is even more difficult now. De Bruyne sets you back more, but you're buying a Premier League proven player. However, Haaland's a generational talent, and he saves you money, and he takes up a striker spot where the forwards disappointed last season. I'd love to know which way you guys are leaning between KDB or Haaland, and if you're enjoying the content, please hit like and subscribe to support the channel. We won't spend too much time on Brentford, but they come packed with cheap options. Rye comes in for only 4.5 mil, and he actually got the highest points per match of all keepers last season under 5 mil, with 4 points per game. The fixtures are decent too, so he's a nice pick to start the season. Kanyos has been reclassified as a defender and a price cut to 5 mil. His minutes were all over the place in the second half of last season, and he is suspended until the 13th of August, so he's just one to monitor. But he is one to keep an eye on, certainly because he got 3 goals, 3 assists. Jansen was the top scoring Brentford defender with 122 points, and he remains at 4.5 mil, which is good value for the opening games. Ideally, you'd want to rotate someone with him for the opening 2, and then he's good for starting beyond that. Wissa remains a midfielder for 5.5 mil. He finished the season strong with 2 goals and 2 assists in his last 3 games. Meanwhile, Mbeumo has been reclassified as a forward and he gets a price hike to 6 mil. Elsewhere, Tony comes in at 7 mil, which is about a fair price and a good mid-priced option to pair with Haaland. Brighton represents some great value too. Sanchez in goal also comes in at 4.5 mil, same as Raya. Brighton were 6th best in the league for expected goals conceded, Brentford 8th, so I would start with either in goal. Palace are the only other team that could have a 4.5 mil keeper who had a better XGC, but they start the season with bad fixtures. We discussed Cucurella earlier, and if he completes the move to Man City, he could be an absolute steal for 5 mil. Considering the number of great budget defenders already, he's perhaps one to monitor for now, as he may rotate with Walker, while Cancelo rotates in both fullback positions. Don looks like an absolute steal for 4.5 mil under this Brighton side. They're very capable defensively. He's got an attacking threat on the end of free kicks in him, and it's the first time since the 1920 season that he's been 4.5 mil. Lamptey's the more exciting pick for the same price, more attacking and dangerous, and he plays like a winger at times, but it'll come down to his minutes. Last season he was very unreliable for starts, let alone 90 minutes, and this could represent a problem again with the Premier League introducing 5 substitutes for 22-23. However, Trossard's an excellent option for relatively cheap. In his final 6 starts last season he had 4 goals and 3 assists. McAllister's attacking returns were much less, but he plays an attacking role and he started the last 11 in a row last season. The striker spots here are very interesting here. Undev comes in at 5.5 mil, and if he becomes first choice he'll be a steal. He was the striker we had in the Gameweek 1 mock team video. He was signed from Royal Union, where he was very impressive with 26 goals and 16 assists last campaign, or in 72 games for them he had 72 attacking returns. The caveat of course is that the Belgian league doesn't have nearly the same level of quality, and many players struggle to adjust. If you enjoyed today's video, please drop it a like before you go and subscribe to the channel for tons of future content to come. I read every comment, so share your thoughts on the prices and I'll be sure to read it. See you soon for the next one.